Okay, we have a quorum. Diana, would you please call the roll? Yes. Okay.
Okay, Representative Baker? Here. Representative Brown?
Is excused.
Representative Burt? Here. Representative Henderson?
Here.
Representative McGuire?
Excused.
Representative Obermueller?
Here.
Representative O'Hearn?
Here.
Representative Stivar?
Excused.
And Chairman Burkhart.
Here. So, okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have 3 members gone. They're in other committees. It's that time of the session where we kind of get split up trying to handle bills in other committees. A bill from this committee, a joint committee bill, is up in House Judiciary right now. So Representative McGuire and Representative Stiver are handling that. And Representative Brown had another commitment. So with that, we have 2 bills today, Senate File 3 and Senate File 18. And that's the order they were posted in. That's the order I'll take them in. And I see Director Budd here. Do you want to present Senate File 3 or do you want someone else to do it?
Whatever the good director would like to do.
I prefer to,
Don't, Director Budd, you don't do that. You don't give another director a choice because you're going to get stuck with it. Director Budd, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I think you're familiar with the bill and the reasons and that sort of thing, and it's not a very extensive bill, so we have everybody here. Great. So proceed.
Mr. Chairman, Lynn Budd, the Director of the Office of Homeland Security. This bill is meant to just raise the fee that is charged for radioactive materials that travel through our state. The fee set for this was $200, set in 1989 when the fee was established. And we have gone through and looked at the inflation rate and calculated for inflation, and that came up to a little over $450 per package. And one of the reasons why we're looking at this, number one, that it was so old, but number two, this fee funds training and emergency response for hospitals, the highway patrol, as well as equipment, radiological detection equipment, and pays for the calibration of it, which occurs in our office, across the state. So it's important for us to be able to do the training and make sure that our communities are safe. It helps with the regional emergency response teams who deal with radioactive materials as well as hazmat, hazardous materials. So that's what the bill does, is basically, and it does combine also 2 statutes that were duplicative into the one statute. So the fee's not listed in both places.
Thank you. Questions? Representative O'Hearn?
Yeah, thank you, Director. Well, and Mr. Chairman, will $109,000 cover all those training and calibration fees and all that stuff?
Mr. Chairman, Representative O'Hearn, yes, we believe that it will cover all of that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, other questions? Questions? Okay, so before I ask any, Director, do you or Josh wish to make a statement, say anything?
Mr. Chairman, Luke Reiner, Director YDOT. Just for the record, what I'd say is certainly our task in this realm is to collect the fees, to hold the money, and then to really support Homeland Security. Certainly from my past life, fully support the regional emergency response teams that Director Budd dispatches. They do need to be trained. Funding their training is key and essential, and I think this makes sense to increase this. You know, this is a very specific type of shipment that we charge here, and so you know, Lieutenant Colonel Walther is with us today. If you have questions about specific numbers and those type of issues that we deal with at the port, but certainly we would stand in support of this bill.
Questions for the Director? Questions? Okay. So for the 3 of you and Mr. Walter, So about how many shipments do we see, say, in an average year or month or something like that?
Mr. Chairman Committee, Josh Walther, Lieutenant Colonel for the Wyoming Highway Patrol. We have numbers back to 2013, but the most recent in 2021 was 126 shipments.
Thank you. And so follow up. So I understand that there's pretty much just one company that hauls these through the state?
Mr. Chairman, that's correct.
Okay.
One company based out of Henderson, Colorado, I believe, bring them from Idaho to New Mexico.
Okay. And Mr. Walters, I've seen them go the other way too, going westbound. So they're going both ways, pick them up, bring them back. Is that my understanding?
Defer to Director Bud.
Mr. Chairman, yes, most of the shipments are coming from the Idaho National Laboratory. And they would probably be headed back, like you say, to go get the materials
Okay.
to be brought to the destination in New Mexico.
Okay, so the three of you, I know it's radioactive materials. Any idea what it might be in there? Is it, very high level, low level, medium? One dirty rag or a, chainsaw?
Mr. Chairman, I've brought in reinforcements today that have really smart, that I can move. Anyway, I would like to ask Dylan Connor, our radiological program manager, to come up. He knows all of the smart stuff.
Okay. Mr. Connor, please identify yourself.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, I'm Dylan Connor with the Wyoming Office of Homeland Security. I'm the radiological program manager. And to answer your question in regards to what are in those shipments, that is anything that is contaminated that they utilize at the lab. So gowns, shovels, hammers, you name it, that fits into those casks going down to New Mexico.
So, Mr. Connor, we have an old saying, in effect, don't show up to committee meeting unless you're invited, so you're going to get a lot of questions. So how important is this program to the state?
The program in regards to
The shipments, please.
the shipments, yes, it's the most direct route down to New Mexico. The program is, I think, we use that money and that program to train our responders, not just along the I-80 corridor, but across our state. Yes, that's a big part of it. The WIP is kind of on the forefront that they talk about is on kind of the topic, but radioactive materials are all around us. They use them in hospitals, public health settings, things of that nature. So to be able to take that money and train our responders across the state to respond to those types of incidents is very beneficial, sir.
Okay. So I'm just looking to see if there are any questions. So while the fee is mostly for those shipments, what about, say, the hospitals? Because I know some of the hospitals in Wyoming, they generate call them radioactive dyes or whatever, if you have a test, generate them locally because they're so short-lived on half-life, then transport them to the hospital for those tests. Are they covered under this, or is this only interstate shipments, please?
I don't know the exact answer to that, sir. My guess would be no, as the amount of quantity is low enough that they don't meet that threshold to be qualified under this.
Okay. All right, great. Any other questions? Okay. Representative Burt.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Excuse me. On page 2, line 19, we talk about the emergency response fees. And when you get into line 21, it says, in addition to any other fees and taxes provided by law, an emergency response fee. So we're looking at, in addition to any other fees and taxes, what types of other fees and taxes could that be referring to? Thank you.
Volunteer.
Right. Mr. Chairman.
Director Budd, please.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, Representative Burt, I'm sorry, are you on the 3118-407 portion of the bill or the 3714-103 portion of the bill?
Representative Burt.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's the 14103, 37-14-103.
Director Budd.
Mr. Chairman, I guess Representative Burt, I'm sorry, I'm not finding that. I'll just say I am not aware of any additional fees that are charged for these shipments, other than this particular fee. I believe there may be a part of the fee is a permit to do this transportation, but that would be the only other fee that I'm aware of.
Follow-up?
And thank you, Mr. Chairman. And then one other question I have is, if we're currently collecting, I don't remember the time frame, is 80, 85 maybe, I think is when you said that we started the fee. If we're already using the $200 current to pay for training, why would we move it from the general fund into a special account if we're already using a $200 fee and then switching accounts to continue the training fund?
Director?
Mr. Chairman, Representative Burt, the account that this funding or this fee is going into does not change. It is the same fund that it has always been going into, which is a fund managed by the Department of Transportation. The reason why we're looking at the increase is that this year, we were not able to fund the program completely. The fund did not cover the expenses of the program, which it had been covering for several years. We were informed that the amount collected was not going to match our budget, which didn't increase at all. It was the same budget. Part of that was due to a period of time where the shipments were not going to New Mexico. They were shut down for a period of time. And so there was a lag there, and it's really hard to predict. It's very dependent on their transportation needs and when they have their assignments to transport that radioactive material. So in looking at that and receiving notification actually from WYDOT that we weren't going to get all the money that we were expecting this year, we had to put into the budget funds from our other federal grant, the Emergency Management Performance Grant, which also funds, among other things, the personnel at the county and local levels, many other things across the state that are really important to emergency management. So if we utilize that money to pay for this program, then we are losing something on the other end. So there's no intent to change the account or where the money's going to at all.
Okay. Other questions? Director, just one more for me. So the money in this account, you use it for other things besides just radiological, am I correct?
Mr. Chairman, yes, that is for other hazardous material training across the state as well.
Thank you. Okay. Not seeing any questions. Anyone wish to speak on this bill? Any public testimony? Please. More. I usually give other legislators an opportunity first, but I could see the look on Senator Landon's face, and he'd just as soon sit there, I think.
Mr. Chairman, I'm happy to come up after everybody stays up if you have any questions about anything in the body.
Okay.
Thank you.
I see no changes on the bill. It says it was originally filed, so please.
Mr. Chairman, excuse me, Sheila Furch, Wyoming Trucking Association. We've just been watching this bill. We've not had any input from members that are concerned about it, but we just wanted to make sure that it was not an expansion of additional carriers and additional types of product that would be transported. And we've been assured through the conversations we heard in the Senate Transportation Committee meeting that it wasn't. We're very supportive of how the fee's used for the emergency response teams and the training throughout the state.
Questions, committee? Any questions? Sheila, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else wish to speak on this bill? No one on virtual. I know that. So, okay, with that, I'll close public testimony. Committee?
Move the bill.
Moved by Henderson, seconded by O'Hearn. Discussion?
Question.
Well, give us just a minute, Representative. I can see Representative Burt reading. Oh, okay. No, any questions, any amendments?
Question.
Okay, question being called. Diana, would you take roll, please?
Okay, Representative Baker?
Aye.
Representative Brown submitted a absent.
Senator, don't leave, please. I apologize, Diana. I just wanted to catch him before he got out the door.
That's fine.
I'm not wanted.
Oh, you're wanted for the next one. I'm sorry, Diana, please continue.
Representative Brown submitted an absentee ballot for aye.
Okay.
Representative Burt? No. Representative Henderson?
Aye.
Representative McGuire submitted an absentee ballot of aye. Representative Obermuller?
Aye.
Representative O'Hearn?
Aye.
Representative Stivar submitted an absentee ballot for aye. And Chairman Burkhart.
Aye.
So that's 8 ayes and 1 no.
Okay, thank you. So Representative Obermuller, do you feel up to floor managing this one?
I'd rather do the other one, actually.
Okay. All right. So we'll give this one to, you know, if you're not here, you can't defend yourself. So we'll give this one to Representative Brown. Okay. I forgot to do this last time. I need to take a minute to write down who I assigned these to. So the next bill for consideration is Senate File 18, County Road Maintenance Fund Amendments. And I'm not sure who will present this. Really doesn't directly concern Department of Transportation. Ms. Little, are you going to present this? Okay, and Senator, I asked you to stay because we have an engrossed copy and I just need to know what the Senate did to the bill. Good, bad, indifferent?
All right, Mr. Chairman.
Please
My
continue,
name
Ms.
is Kelly Little. I am the Deputy Director at the Wyoming County Commissioners Association. Just to walk you guys through the bill, and I'm working off the engrossed copy. This bill does 3 primary things. Before I walk you through the bill, though, I do want to state that this is a committee bill that you guys have seen before throughout the interim, and it was a collaborative effort with the Associated General Contractors Association to work on these statutes a little bit and make them a little more modernized, I guess you could say, and work through some things that with the contractors that the counties had some problems with. So we sat down as a group and worked through those things, and now we'll walk you through the bill.
Please.
The first changes are on page 2, line 9, and this change increases the competitive bidding threshold from $50,000 to $75,000. This is for inflationary reasons, and it will give counties more flexibility to do projects with these funds internally in their own county road and bridge departments. Moving along on the bill, when you get to page 3, line 4, there are some cleanup changes that remove proper nouns and specific names of organizations. This language doesn't change the makeup of the County Road Standards Committee. It just takes out those proper names and makes it more generic. And then the third change that is made to statute is starts on page 3, line 21. And what this change does is allows counties to designate per year $100,000 of this funding for the purchase or lease of a motor grader. And that is the bill. I do have one, Mr. Chairman, I do have one proposed amendment that I would be happy to explain at your pleasure.
Please, go ahead.
So the county, we discussed this amongst our membership, and one of the commissioners had the idea to change the effective date of this bill from July 1, 2022 to make it effective immediately. And the reasoning behind the change would be that would allow counties to do that saving of $100,000 toward the purchase of a motor grader. They'd be able to save $100,000 this fiscal year, and then again in the next fiscal year.
Okay.
And I will take any questions, Mr. Chairman.
Any questions for Ms. Little? Any questions? Okay, thank you. Just hang with us. Senator, can you come up and let us know how the bill changed in the Senate committee?
Mr. Chairman, glad to do that. Good afternoon, members of the Transportation Committee. It's good to be back on the road with you.
Mr. Co-Chairman, please.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. This was a bill that, as an aside, ran into a little bit of a headwind, and I'll get to that in a moment. But You might remember, this is a committee bill, and when we worked it during the interim, there was a paragraph in this bill which indicated that if you are utilizing your money inappropriately, that this that would be reported and would come out of that. What is the formal name of the road construction group that oversees our county roads out there? The Senate felt like that was way too punitive. And to be honest, I don't think the bill would have passed if we'd have left that in there. It just felt like to the Senate that we've got enough eyes on this thing that we're not going to have to worry about reports coming back to us of malfeasance and whatever. So that language was stricken. That's why you see an engrossed copy. The other two provisions, the more important provisions in the bill, remain. And so that was the change, Mr. Chairman.
So, Mr. Chairman, in other words, I'm on page 3 of the original bill. It was paragraph G was completely deleted, correct?
That is correct, Mr. Chairman. That's exactly what happened. I don't think that it takes away from, really what we were intending to do during the interim. So,
okay. Representative O'Hearn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If I recall, there was only really one or maybe two bad actors, if I recall, during the interim committees.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, Representative, that I have that similar recollection, and it really did, to our minds, didn't gravitate to the necessity of language in the statutes. Taking a sledgehammer to try to kill a fly. I think, just a couple other thoughts, Mr. Chairman, with regard to what we ran into. I think there was a little bit of confusion among the ranks with regard to the ability to set aside this 100,000. So I think that is something you might be prepared to go with out on the floor if somebody asks about that. Some of our bigger counties, yours, mine, have the ability to move some funding around. Primarily, this bill is going to help the smaller counties. I mean, let's be honest about that. To me, it was worth it, and the Senate felt like it was worth it to pass this bill through, even though some of our bigger counties have that ability. I think it strikes a really good balance, and it was the contractors and our county commissioners getting together and landing this thing in the right spot. And all that testimony we heard during the interim, Mr. Chairman, about the need for road graders out there. We had one of our county commissioners testify, I can buy $100,000 worth of gravel, but I don't have anything to spread it with. So that provision, I think, is important. And the other compromise, I think, is the language that takes us up to $75,000 before we have to bid something. And that, too, was struck between our county commissioners and our construction guys out there. So hope that helps, Mr.
Representative
Chairman.
Brown.
Mr. Chairman, and this might be a question for Ms. Little as well. We struck the entire paragraph of G. And so my question is, we added new language in G in the original bill, but now we've completely stricken all of G, which says that the Board of County Commissioners, upon request to advise the boards of county commissioners with respect to highway construction, the committee shall meet as necessary, but at least not annually. So does that mean that we're just kind of doing away with that committee? Is that what I'm understanding? Or can you help me understand just a little more of why we struck G in its entirety?
Mr. Chairman.
Please.
I had the same question, Representative, and went to our staff, and the staff reminded me that if we are not amending a paragraph, then it doesn't need to be in the bill. So the original language in that paragraph remains.
Okay.
And since we struck the new language, we don't need it in there. And so, but rest assured that that language is still there. So perfect.
Ms. Little, that was going to be your comment also.
Yeah, I think it's the difference between striking and deleting something.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Representative Obermuller.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senator, in the testimony, do you recall any kind of like strong minority opinion among the contractors? I mean, usually they really fight that increase, because that car's out a chunk of what they've traditionally done, and they don't like it, to give any of that ground to the county. So I've just been surprised that I haven't heard from that element. Have you heard anything from that group?
So, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. And Representative, glad you're feeling better, by the way. It's good to have you back. And, we did not. And I think that really speaks well to, and I know that Ms. Little can jump in on this one too, but I think there was a lot of work done between the groups. And our contractors, I think, are comfortable with that. They know of the work that's coming, at least that we hope is coming. And they just want to be ready to get the work done. So we didn't hear any pushback on that.
Ms. Little?
Mr. Chairman, if I may, the Contractors Association, they are represented here today and may be able to speak more to that as well. But we did work together to land at that $75,000 mark where both parties were comfortable.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you. So anyone want to speak on this bill? Please identify yourself.
Mr. Chairman, committee, Dan Benford with the Associated General Contractors. We just wanted to say that we did do a lot of work in the interim. The 75,000 was a good faith agreement, and we're willing to let that go to that level. And we support the bill the way it is right now.
Questions for Mr. Bedford? Questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Furch, you're good? Okay, everyone else in here in the room? Okay, no further testimony? I'll close public testimony. Committee?
Move the bill.
Moved by Henderson.
Second.
Seconded by Brown. Okay. And remember, we're working off the engrossed copy. So, because we've had some discussion, so anything on page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4.
Mr. Chairman,
Representative O'Hearn?
what are we going to consider the motion for the amendment right now on page 4?
Are you moving an amendment?
I think we should make a motion for changing it to immediately.
You
Effective
move
date
an
is
amendment
immediately.
to change it to immediately, correct?
Yes.
Okay,
I'll second that.
seconded by Brown. Discussion on that? Representative Henderson?
Agree.
Question.
Okay. Question on the amendment. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Okay, amendment is adopted. So we're back to the bill. Any further discussion? Question being called. Diana, please take the roll.
Okay, Representative Baker?
Aye.
Representative Brown?
Aye.
Representative Burt?
Aye.
Representative Henderson?
Aye.
Representative McGuire submitted an absentee for aye. Representative Obermueller?
Aye.
Representative O'Hearn?
Aye.
Representative Stivar submitted an absentee ballot of aye. And Chairman Burkhart?
Aye.
That's 9 ayes.
Okay, thank you. So that wraps up what we need to do today. Just for anyone who's listening and for the people here, we will consider, we have 2 bills for Thursday, 2 Senate files. And next Thursday, the 10th, am I correct, Diana? Okay, the 10th, we will consider, it'll be a joint meeting with the Senate, and we'll consider interim topics. But if you have interim topics, please get them to me by Friday. And we have a few already. So just give it some thought. And if you need a form, I have forms on my desk. If you want to use the electronic form, that's fine also.
Mr. Chairman?
Please.
Mr. Chairman, one of the things that we had talked about originally last year was making sure that we stick to the interim topics as we go through the interim work and trying to reduce the amount of bills that come out of the committee that are not associated with interim work. Are you still planning on working with that with the other chairman?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
As most of you know, we've struggled a little bit with the number of bills that we have of getting, that's why 2 members aren't here right now, of getting those bills handled as they work through the various processes. Again, I've said I would like to not have 18 bills again. 3 of those we ended up with that at the last minute at the request of management to consider some additional topics. So hopefully that won't happen again. We'll probably see a few things come back, and we've got a few new items coming up. And that just, remember, Management Council may not approve all of them. So, but if you have ideas, sure like to hear them.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Representative Brown.
I guess the other way I would be curious if maybe you're saying it a little more tactfully, and maybe I'm not as tactful, but not bringing additional bill ideas to the committee in the middle of the interim. If you have bill ideas that you would like to discuss during the interim, bring them now so we can have the discussion now, and whether that rises to the ability for the committee to consider it. Bringing additional ideas and topics in the middle of interim work is problematic and troublesome, not only to us, but as well as staff with the amount of research and how thin they're spread. So I guess that's my biggest concern, is just trying to make sure that if you do have ideas, that we push them out now and not second or third meeting in the interim.
Representative Brown, I'd agree with that. Like I said, we had some interim work that was assigned to us by management that the committee pretty much had no choice, as most of you know. We had to address those during the interim, but I would prefer that, just as Representative Brown said, we get everything on the table so that we can give those topics the due consideration that they deserve. So, and with that last bill, just so I'm not remiss, Representative Obermuller had offered to floor manage that one. So thank you, Representative. And with that, we're adjourned early.
Yay.